be reading more books. So, the problem I'm trying to solve is that people are not reading enough, and I'm hopefully here to inspire you to read more and to inspire others to read more. The reason I'm doing this PowerPoint is because a lot of people say they read like a lot of books, but in reality, they like barely read. So, this is how reading books can benefit your life by Alan Sebastian. Reading can strengthen your brain. The research says that reading changes your mind. Using MRI scans, researchers have discovered that reading involves a complex network of signals. As your reading ability gets better, those signals also get better and more complex. So, MRI scans is like a normal scan, but it scans your entire brain and it can like see what's happening there, like all the networks of strings of stuff that's happening. In one research that took place in 2013, researchers used MRI scans to see how much reading an ordinary graphic novel can affect the brain. People who volunteered read the novel Pombi. I actually recommend you read this book. It's a pretty good book. Over 1 week and 2 days, as suspense rised in the novel, more parts of the brain glowed with emotions. Brain scans showed that throughout the 1 week and 2 days, brain activity increased, mostly in the somatosensory cortex, the part of the brain that responds to physical sensations like pain. So if I just took my finger and just touched myself, my somatosensory cortex is the reason I can feel my finger touching my head. Reading increases your ability to empathize. Research has shown that people who read fiction stories that figure out the lives of characters show a better ability to understand the feelings and emotions of others in real life. People call this the theory of mind, a set of skills that is needed for our day-to-day activities. While a couple minutes of reading fiction isn't likely to affect you, research shows that people who read fiction on a daily basis tend to have a better theory of mind. Reading builds your vocabulary. Researchers as far back as the 1960s have discussed what's known as the Matthew effect, a term that refers to a Bible verse, Matthew chapter 13, verse 12. Whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have, will be taken from them. The Matthew effect talks about the idea that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, an idea that applies to vocabulary and to money. Researchers have found out that people who read books, normally starting at a young age, gradually develop a big vocabulary. And vocabulary size can change many parts of your life, from scores on grades to college stuff and job opportunities. A 2019 poll run by Senegate showed that 69% of employers are looking to hire people with soft skills, like the ability to communicate effectively. Reading books is the best way to increase your vocabulary. Reading helps prevent age-related cognitive decline. The National Institute on Aging says that reading novels and fables helps keep your mind stimulated as you become older and start to lose knowledge. Even though different studies hasn't proven that reading books prevents diseases like Alzheimer's, Research shows that students who read novels and other different kinds of books and solve challenging math problems on a daily basis improve their cognitive functioning. A 2013 study run by Rush University Medical Center found that people who've engaged in mentally active activities their entire life, like reading books and meditating, were less likely to have the plaques, lesions, and tau protein tangles found in the brains of people with dementia. Reading can reduce stress. In 2009, a group of people researched the effects of yoga, humor, and reading on the stress levels of students in demanding health science programs in the US. The study found that 30 minutes of reading lowered blood pressure, heart rate, and feelings of mental distress just as effectively as yoga and humor did. So, I'm not saying that yoga and humor are bad, but I'm just saying that books can help you just as much as humor and yoga. The researchers concluded since time constraints are one of the most frequently cited reasons for high stress levels reported by health science students, 30 minutes of one of these techniques can easily fit into their schedule without diverting a large amount of time from their studies. So if you just have 30 minutes extra, where like you can do whatever you want, maybe try reading a book. Reading prepares you Reading prepares you for a good night's rest. People at the Mayo Clinic recommend reading as part of a day-to-day sleep routine. For the best outcome, you probably want to choose a normal book that's written on paper instead of reading on a tablet or a phone, because the light from the screen could keep you awake and lead to other bad health problems. So if you like reading on like your phone or your laptop, you can that's a good way to read, but try not to read books on your devices when it's nighttime. And instead of reading on a device, just read a normal book. Researchers also recommend that you read somewhere other than your room if you have trouble falling asleep at night. So maybe if you have trouble falling asleep at night, you can move to your living room and read, or you can move to your study area and read. Reading helps elevate depression symptoms. British philosopher Sir Roger Scruton wrote, "Consolation from imaginary things is not an imaginary consolation. People with depression often feel alone and estranged from people, and that's a problem books can solve." Reading fiction can allow you to escape your own world and become swept up in the imagined experiences of the characters. And nonfiction self help books can teach you solutions that may help you manage symptoms. So, if you know someone that's going through depression symptoms right now, try recommend to them to read some self help books. And hopefully that will help them. That's why the UK National Health Services has started Reading Well, a books on prescription program where medical care experts prescribe self-help books curated by medical experts, specifically for certain conditions. Reading may even help you live longer. A long-term health and retirement study followed a cohort of 3,635 adult volunteers for a period of 12 years. finding that those who read books lived around 2 years longer than those who didn't read. So, if you want to live a little bit longer, start reading some more books. The study also concluded that people who read more than 3.5 hours every week were 23% likely to live longer than those who didn't read. Now, what should you read? The answer is whatever you can read. There was a time when remote regions had to rely on librarians traveling the mountains with books stuffed in their bags, but that's hardly the case today. Just about everyone can access libraries contained in electronics and actual libraries. So this is the end. I hope you enjoyed this PowerPoint and hopefully you read more books and spread the word.